Hey buddy, in today's video I'm going to show you 9 different ways to generate vectors in the programming language R. Welcome to Datatastic, I'm Paul, and let's jump right in. So the very first way to create a vector, let's start off by naming our variable myVector, and now we can use C for combine. And now we can just add whatever values we want to store inside our vector. And we can go ahead and print the values. And down here you can see the different values in our vector. Next, let's just override the same variable and let's use the sequence function. So we start off by defining a start value. In this example, let's say 1, an end value, for example 20, and then we define the steps. So we can say by, for example 2. And if we look at our vector, we can see we have generated values between 1 and 20, starting with 1 and then going up to 20 in steps of 2. So 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on until value number 19. Next, we can, for example, say rep, and now we can choose a number and how often we want to replicate or repeat that number. So if we say rep 5 10 times, we store the value 5 10 times inside our vector. We can also use the sample function to generate random data. First we have to specify the interval. So we can say, for example, we want to get random numbers between 1 and 100. Then how many numbers we want to generate. So for example 10. And then we can set replace either to true or false. I'm just going to set it to false, which means that each value can only be generated once. So we can't have the same value multiple times in our vector of randomly generated data. Another very simple way to create a vector is by saying sequence len, and now we generate a vector between 1 and whatever number we choose. So for example, the numbers from 1 up to 10. Another option would be to create default data of a specific data type. So for example, we could generate numeric data, for example 15 different data points, and they all take on the value 0 because that's the default of the numeric data type. We can, for example, do the same and use character. Again, let's say 15. And now we have an empty string as the default. We can also go ahead and, for example, use the logical function that creates false values because that's the standard logical value. So you can use these types of functions for all the data types. And lastly, let's also look at random normally distributed data. So we can use the rnorm function. We can specify n as, for example, 10 if we want to have 10 different values. And optionally, we can specify a mean and standard deviation. So the standard mean is 0 and the standard deviation is 1. So we can, for example, change that to 110. And now we have randomly normally distributed data points. We can also look at them. And there we go. So these were quite a few different ways to generate vectors in R. If you've learned anything new, feel free to like, and if you are interested in learning more about the programming language R, feel free to subscribe, and see you in the next video. Bye.